So let's look at this top view. So in this case, you might actually, do you have a more detailed plan underneath than here? Which is fine. Maybe those are, or am I just, is there a detailed plan underneath, more detailed?
You can kind of see everything that's on the plan.
Over here?
I mean, the plan at the very bottom is the most detailed.
Okay, is that on its own layer?
Yeah.
Okay. So that,
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of lines.
yeah, that's fine. Okay, so the idea is that we're going to be setting up a drawing that basically is sort of a, like I said, like a hybrid. It's plans, elevation, axonometric, even exploded. Okay, axonometric. So we're going to be using the standard view and then outputting this a certain way. Okay, so we're basically, this is where I think, make sure you guys are doing a lot of saves as. So that way you can maintain your original file. So at this point, you know, if I know I'm going to start deconstructing this or reconstructing it, I want to put this somewhere that's safe. So I don't know if the desktop is safe right now, but and this is week 15. So that way, you know, if I need to go back and I have the original drawings and so forth, I'm not crying because I messed something up. So what we're going to be doing is, first you're going to start thinking about what's sort of the best vantage point, right? What is it best to look from one corner versus another? So, you know, is that more interesting than that? And maybe it's not just about interesting, is that, you know, I have this elevation drawn over here. So does it, you know, that's not a really good one, right? So we can sort of experiment. And decide where we want to focus on, okay? So let's say we go with this one because we have the elevation here maybe, so we're not looking at the back side. So what we're going to start doing is lining things up sort of in plan and in elevation. So we're lining things up that's happening at the, you know, in plan, and then we're lining things up that's happening in elevation. Now there's supposedly a plan underneath here which we'll eventually use. And in doing this, we're basically going to try to set up probably some type of square drawing. All right. So this won't be the most difficult part of this class, but it just means you have to be organized. You need to know what layers are on what. So I'm going to be working in a 3D view that I'm eventually going to put on a sheet. So if this is what I'm interested in as a view, we want to make sure we're sort of comparing what that means for our, if we start moving things around. So the first thing that I might move, this is why I want to save this stuff, because I'm going to start moving. I want to maybe move this out, okay? And this is what I mean, we're sort of making a composite or sort of a hybrid. If I use the ortho, we can start sort of layering this, and we might want to start creating a separation, right? So maybe certain things never touch. And do you have two elevations? Or is it just mirrored? Oh, this is our section. Sorry, we have a section, right? So, perfect. So we're going to take that. Okay. So if this were our drawing, I can start to think about, okay, this will be my 3D model. These will be my elevation section, and then my plan will be underneath, pulled down. Okay. So not complicated stuff, but we have to start thinking a little bit about composition and sort of balance of the sheet, how much white space there is. Like you can see that if we look at this right now, not that this thing has to be symmetrical, although the project is a little bit symmetrical. One might want to move this out a little bit further and make sure you have ortho on. to sort of make a better balance between these two drawings. So it's a visual effect that maybe we're trying to produce. So we're trying to get a lot of information out of one drawing. Okay, so layering that over. Now, the other thing we can do is take this model and rotate it 180 and get another, or rotate it 90 and get another position of it, right? So we can reuse the same model and pull it up and then maybe rotate it. In this case, that's not complicated, but that's definitely a possibility. So I'm going to assume you were really organized. And I see a bunch of, I'm going to turn all the 3D off real quick. Let's make layer 0 current. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm interested in that plan. I'm going to just erase stuff that I don't need. This is why I did a save as. A lot of this might be duplicates. I've seen that already in many of your drawings. You guys have, 3 of everything at least. So yeah, make sure you save as much as you sort of copy. So if we do a change, so these are exploded, we select everything, we can change the elevation of this. So that's one way of doing this. We did the change, right? And I can say properties, elevation, and I can make it a negative, 30 feet, hit enter, and it drops it down. Okay, and I can do that again, change. P for previous, properties, E, and let's make it a negative 60 feet. Enter. And maybe let's do that again. Change, previous, enter, properties, enter, E, enter, negative 63 feet. Yeah, maybe that's okay. There's a little overlap. So we understand that this is positioned down, yes? And then if I turn on my, I don't think we need the trace. Turn it all on. Oh, we had some stuff off. Might have missed, did I miss some stuff or?
Yeah, no, that yellow can go.
Okay, so that starts to be the composition so far.
That yellow circle at the bottom.
Oh yeah. And there's some other floating stuff. So yeah, try to, it's best to turn all the layers on before you start moving stuff. And then clean up what you don't need. And that might mean for both elevation and section. Now this section, what we're going to start doing is maybe adding annotations. Now the other thing we can start doing is, this isn't really like an exploded, but we can take parts of the project and explode it. And before I do that, I'm going to make copies of it. So we sort of have the compiled piece, and then we have maybe one where all the outside walls are blasted off. Okay, so you spend all this time modeling this stuff. We can't see it right now, right? So what we can do is sort of show two versions. One version where it's all together, maybe up here, another version where it's all sort of exposed. So turning off certain walls. Okay. So to do that, sometimes it's best to do that in elevation. So I'll go UCS X90, copy that. And because everything else is neatly blocked, I can take this, right, and give it a distance. So we could have done this with the plan. Again, I'm showing different ways. UCS, go back to world. And then we can maybe start to think about what we want to turn off. And expose. And it doesn't have to be, this is where you might go in and say, well, maybe I need to remodel something, or I need to add something. We'll just leave that. So maybe there's some type of part that you want to take away to sort of give us a view of the interior. Okay. Some of the projects might work a little bit better than others, or like, how do you go about that? Could be maybe even taking off this top part, and then we see it sort of here complete, and then we see it here in pieces, we see it in section, we see it at elevation, we see it in plan. Okay. So after this, we're gonna start to make a layout. So if we went to layout, we can see that layout. We're going to go ahead and set up the sheet, so we should remember how to do this, but let's go through it. So I'm going to go to Page Setup Manager. We can modify the current one, fine. We can pick PDF. We're going to use a certain size. Now, I want to print these all next week. And I want to use a custom, we can do 24 by 36 is what I'm hoping that we'll be able to get everybody's sheet on. This is like find Waldo. It's like the endless, it's like so many steps. So I'm recording this. You guys hopefully remember how to do this. So this will set up the 24 by 36. Again, we're probably eventually going to use that. Layout, 1-to-1. Hit OK. Let's go back to modify. Portrait. Hit OK. Okay, so it's now portrait. And we close this. So this is 24 by 36. We're then going to go ahead and stretch this out. Now we could make a, if we do a rectangle, 0, 0 to 24, 36, that will actually give us something to snap to. Otherwise, we can't snap to the viewport. So this is a good trick. To get that to the right area. Then we type in MS for model space, right? And we can zoom in and out. So if we do a ZE, it'll try to get it extends. Now we can work in a scale. So if we go back to PS, and if I double click, well, let's erase the rectangle. Hold on. If I double click, sorry, not double click, but go to properties. Jolt that out. Go to PS, go to properties. And if we pick that viewport, we get our scale. So we can start looking at actual scales. So we're pretty damn close with 3/16 of an inch. Okay. So in this case, I might go back to model space, UCS X90. Oops, UCS World, UCS X90. Move. No, let's just move the top one, sorry. And let's move the plan. So if we go back to MS, type in P for pan, we can pretty much get it in there. Okay. So the next thing is we can take a look at what we're starting to get as a plot, and then we'll adjust the styles. Let's go ahead and preview this. So, we don't have the line weights set up yet. So a couple things we have to do. So we have that. So we'll leave this. Let's go ahead and, so again, we don't have a piece, we don't have that CTB file. We just use the ACAD. I'm just going to change all the colors to black, and then just quickly come up with some line weights. And then we're going to change the render style. So let's hit cancel there. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is go back to model space. And you remember we were using Visual Style Manager. We were using, we were using the hidden legacy, weren't we? Let me pause. So again, we were able to, once you're in paper space, you're going to select this, go to properties, and we're going to find under shade plot, legacy hidden. This is critical so we don't get just a bunch of rendered views, poorly. I think if we do hidden, let's try them both. So we can try this and go to plot and then preview it. Yeah, see what we're getting. That doesn't work, right? It does a better job doing the hidden, but it doesn't give us the. So we ended up using the legacy. So again, you got to make sure you select the viewport, and we want to use legacy hidden. And then we're able to go to plot.
We're back on record, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Thanks.
Preview that. Looks pretty promising. Line weights are actually doing what we thought they might. Yeah. And then we'll hit enter and hit OK. And I'll just plot this to your desktop. And there it is.
Yeah, that's great.
So what can you do next? Well, there's a lot we can do. We can start actually bringing in shaded views. And remember we did renders and we underlap them. I mean, this is like, if everybody got to this point, it would be great. But we can start adding a lot more. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, sorry, let me close that. So if we look at, if we pick this again, Let's see what happens when we go to rendered. So we start getting, in this case, things that are green and things that are following the actual sort of color of the layers. But we were able to add materiality and so forth, right? So, if we go back into our model space, and we render it here, the same setup, right? So what do? We started going to materials, right? And we open both the material editor and the material browser. Now we can work straight with the material editor, but it's good to have the material browser open because eventually we have to apply it. And we made a new material. And we're not trying to make something that looks realistic. We maybe want to just make something that looks more just like we were doing for the objects, where it's more like a model per se. So we can keep something really basic like wall paint, And this is my, oops. So if I select, so this is where we want to use our layers. So the glass, I might want to make glass, so I'll turn off all the glass. So this is where, being organized is going to be super important. And maybe let's see the difference. So we have that. Right click, select object, assign to selection, right? So now when it's shaded, looks quite different. I think I missed maybe. And we can get clever here and apply different materials to different parts. Again, this is where you can spend some time. But now, if we go back to our layout, and then we say plot, preview, we start to get a little bit more shading. Okay, so it's starting to look like something. Still not happy, right? So let's go back to and see what other options we were working with. Advanced rendering settings. One thing is we need to set the resolution, right? So if we're going to go 24 inches wide, we probably want to make sure we're at least at around 200 dpi. Let's just say right now 100. So that means 24 inches times 100, so 2400. And that'll be 3600. So that'll give a higher res. Right now it's it's done by window. That's fine. So we have global illumination on. We'll leave all that. That's fine. So I'll change the resolution. The other thing, we really didn't mess with the environment too much, but we can change the background. And then we can go to sun properties. So we want to turn the sky on. Let's see if I can turn the sky on. Just turn this on. Turn off, yeah, let's turn off the default lighting. Oh, sky, why can't we turn you on? Sky is important because it gives us our ambient. Let's render without the sky. Let's see how it looks now. It's going to take a lot longer to render, but you already can see a difference there. So let's pause. Resume that. So we have the higher resolution. We can also do a selected. So maybe if we force it to only render what we select. Let it do its thing. Let's see how this looks. And we'll switch it back to window rather than viewport. Those little triangles don't mean anything. So yeah, it should work. We're out here, these little grids. It should be able to do the higher res. Those are all the processors which you see. I thought this thing had more processors, but sorry, we're gonna let this finish. Let's switch this when it's done. Switch it back to window. We'll select all of that, hit enter. Let's pause that. Alright, so it took about 5 minutes. Now we save this, save as. We'll just save it as a TIFF. Yes, desktop. We'll just call this render. 24-bit. It's fine. And then again, you don't have to do this. So we're gonna use two pieces of software here. Photoshop. So we're gonna open that up. Actually, we're gonna use one piece of software. Sorry. Did it save it? It's there. Maybe it didn't. You gotta reopen it. Do open again. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to open it on my computer. Sorry, guys. Won't be on that desktop. So we will. So at this point, we really just want. We don't want all that black, so we can trim it out, like go around it, which is probably unfortunately, what we would have to do. The video card's really freaking out. I guess I picked the wrong background. We should not have used white because it translates it as black. And if I try to pick. I'll pick all of it. See if I can trick it. No, it just treats it all as black. Just check something real quick. So I'm trying to save it with an alpha. Let's see if the alpha comes through. An alpha will pick everything except for what's there. So I'm using an alpha channel. You see that? So if you save it as a targa with alpha, and then if I hold down the control key and click that, it'll automatically make my selection. Isn't that pretty? So then I can do, I can come here, edit, copy, and then I'll put this in a new, and you see the resolution isn't that great because the way this thing renders. So there it is. Okay. And what I would do now is save this. Well, we can adjust it, brightness, contrast. We do have a lot of sort of dark. Yeah, but that's fine. Let's just go with this. And then we'll save this. We'll save this as a TIFF. And then we'll go back to AutoCAD. And what we're going to do now, a couple things we can do. We can place this. We can insert the image. So we can come in here, insert raster, find that TIFF, and actually insert it. Like into here. Now the problem with this is like getting the front, the back, and so forth. The other thing is like trying to place it in here. Now the problem with placing it in here is we are actually our UCS is different, right? So what is our UCS? Our UCS is 90, and then UCS 45. So it gets a little tricky to get. And then if we go to insert raster, we can place this, right? And now it's getting this to the right scale. So line up with this, and you can see it's going to be hard to. It's not going to be perfect. So this is where you need to go to the third software. So the third software is going to be our Illustrator. So again, you don't have to do all this, but showing you how. And we did it last time. So what I'm going to do then is open up the PDF. So now we have this drawing. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and just open up the TIFF. And then I can take this, edit, copy, go to my PDF here. I'm going to make a new layer, put it underneath, lock that, edit, paste. Now there's probably some white. The video card's really freaking out. Let me close Photoshop. Well, let's do the edit paste again. No, it's not freaking out. Just nothing there. Which is interesting. Now it came in, don't ask me why. So you see how it's laying underneath? I can't control my... I can't see my arrows right now. Let me just save this, close it. Let me just save this. Let me reopen that. See if that freed up some. No. So what I can do, because I know it's as wide, so if I put it on one edge, you know, and then scale it to the other edge. Fortunately, I can't see my... Can you see, do you see the mouse?
Yeah.
Can you scale it, like holding the shift key, grab the upper right corner and hold the shift key, there you go, and make it as wide. Oh, too much, yeah, less, right, perfect. And now, okay, I got it. I'm gonna nudge it down. Okay. There it is. And then another thing we can do on this, we can make it a little bit transparent so it doesn't read so heavy. I gotta select it. Hold on. All right. Save it. And then it looks like it maybe belonged in the book you guys took it out of. Maybe even better. Okay. So close that. Let's look at what it looks like as a PDF. So there it is as a PDF. Okay. And then I want to print these out 24 by 36 on the plotter. Okay. So those cost. Now, if you don't want to print it out big, that's fine. You can do 11 by 17. If you want to print it out 24 by 36, it's in black and white. It's $5. So it's a Starbucks coffee. Okay. Do you guys know how to get your money for the printer? Yeah, so it tells you what you need to do. You need to go to the business office, which is second floor, and you make a payment to agency account 515, and then they give you a receipt, and then you come here to Brent or Connie, and they give you a print card, okay? And then you give me the print card, and I either punch it if you have more than $5, or I take the whole card. And now, if you're just doing $5, bring your receipt. You don't need a card. I'll rip up your receipt. Okay? Okay, I'm going to upload this right now.